Hi guys, welcome to the live session. And today as our guest we have Miss Kirti Garg, who's a psychologist, a school counselor and the founder of The Psych Life. She goes by the handle The Psych Life and make sure to check her content. She gives out some amazing information regarding mental health and we'll have her on the panel and we'll begin with the session. Hey, hi Kirti.
Hi, just give me a
Hi,
second.
how are you doing?
I am doing very well. How are you doing?
I'm good too. I'm good too. So, before
Thank
we
you so much
begin,
for
we
having me.
have a bunch of questions to you regarding mental health and a lot of its aspects. So, at first, I would like you to give an introduction about yourself to all our audience.
Yes, definitely. So,
Yeah.
hello everyone joining in. I am Kirti Garg and I'm a psychologist by profession and also the founder of the Psych Life, the handle through which I blog in. I work as a school counselor in Gurgaon and I love talking about mental health, about therapy, and through my platform, I'm trying to destigmatize mental illnesses, create safe spaces, and reach out to more people.
Amazing. So, before we begin, Kirti, what exactly inclined you towards spreading awareness about mental health?
I've always been a psychology enthusiast since the time I was
Okay.
into this field. I think something that drove me more was the fact that I personally saw changes in myself. I saw myself grow as a person. And
Okay.
it was only because I was in the field that I started realizing the importance of mental health even more. So last year during the pandemic, when all of us were stuck at home, and I mean, I was also seeing around how things were going on, and people were
Yeah.
finding it really difficult. I thought, why not start a platform where I can reach out to people, where I can spread more awareness, share more tips, more techniques that people can practice, and that is how I came up with the Psych Life. And since then, I have been trying my best to advocate about mental health and destigmatize mental illnesses. Um, I also completed my qualifications and I'm now a practicing psychologist. And I've started taking therapy sessions for clients, and that is how I'm reaching out to more and more people.
That's wonderful to know about your story. That's wonderful. So, Kirti, what exactly is like for you? What exactly is a sound mental health or a good mental health? How would you describe it?
Okay. So I think it's important that we start understanding that mental health is a part of us. It's not
Yeah.
something that we have to get or it's not something that I have to go reach. It's a part of me. And a sound mental health, just like a physical health, is one where we start taking care of it. A sound
Right.
mental health is one where I'm nurturing it, where I'm taking out time for myself. And mental health usually comprises of our thoughts, our emotions, our feelings, and our actions. So if I'm taking out ample time to take care of all of this, then that is how I'm taking care of my mental health. And that is what is a sound mental health.
All right. And what role does a sound mental health plays in a person's life?
Ah, amazing. Every role, yeah, every role. I think if you have a sound mental health, you would be able to balance your functioning. So it's not
Yeah.
just with your physical health, with all the doles and with all the physique that you would be able to function. You
Right.
need a sound mental health. You need clarity in thought. You need to accept yourself. You need to accept your emotions. And thus, if you have
Exactly.
a sound mental health, you will have a better well-being at both emotional, psychological, social stages. So sound mental health does play a major role. And like people always say, both physical and mental health are important. I
Yeah.
personally believe that mental health is way more important because only a lot of times I've seen that, if I am not feeling mentally fit, if I'm not feeling the
Yeah.
motivation, how much ever I'm physically fit, I will not be able to get up and do the work.
That's
Similarly,
true.
but if I'm motivated, if I'm injured, if my physical health is not at its peak, but if I'm motivated, then I will definitely be able to get up and get to work. So yes, both
Yeah.
are important, and it's important that we start advocating more about it so that more people start taking care of it.
That's so true. That's so true. And when we talk about children, then what exactly mental health or sound mental health, good mental health means in terms of children?
Okay, so childhood is an age which is very vulnerable. A lot
Yeah.
of our babies, a lot of our style of functioning, a lot of things are made during that stage. So this stage is very vulnerable, keeping in mind, the mental health perspective. So it's important that, the mental health is important for all, irrespective of whether you're a child or an adult. But with a child, it becomes even more important because you're in your growing stages. It's important that you do not go through a trauma, and even if you do,
Yeah.
you have guidance, you have the right support to reach out, right resources. So, sound mental health is very, very important for a child. It's important the child is able to convey his or her feelings. The child is able to be there in the present. So, yes, it's very important for children.
So, as you say, like children are very, gentle. They are very immature in terms of all the worldly things that they don't know about much. So, what role do parents or elders play in their like sound mental health?
Yes, they are the guiding force. It's our parents, it's our environment that helps us build, that helps us grow.
Yeah,
So it is parents act like the role model. They are the role model for the child. It's how,
yeah,
if a child is brought up in a safe environment where the parent does take care of personal mental health, plus the parent also takes care, talks politely to the child. The child
yeah.
is, more at a pace of developing in a more better manner as compared to an abusive environment. So the parents, the teachers for that matter, the environment, the near environment, the siblings of the child, all of them play a very important role when it comes to the mental health of a child.
Right. So, I mean, it's correct to say that the environment plays a major part in the soundness of a child's mental health, right?
Yes. So even as
So,
a school
talking about that,
counselor, yeah, even as
mhm,
a school counselor, when we are functioning, when I'm working at the mental health of the children, I make sure that I keep into account all the collaborators, all the
right,
important people in the life, whether it's the teachers, whether it's the parents, or whether it's the child himself. So it's
right.
important collaborative approach is taken here, and everybody understands the importance.
Right. So talking about the environment, how has pandemic like affected children's mental health? Because they're not allowed to go out, they don't meet their friends. So how has that affected, the growing up, the young mind of children?
Pandemic has been tough for all of us,
Yeah,
especially for children. It's their age to go out, to play with friends, to go to parties, to enjoy, to dress up, and they are missing all of
right.
it. The pandemic has got into them a lot of uncertainty, I think, to begin with, because at
Definitely.
this young age, we ourselves are so uncertain. We do not know what is going to happen next. Now
Exactly.
imagine a child who does not understand the concept of pandemic, who is just locked up inside the house, who has so many questions coming up. So there's a
Yeah,
lot of uncertainty that has come up, which has led to a lot of anxiety, both in children and adults. So
yeah,
uncertainty is one issue, anxiety is another issue. Then there's also a lot of loss of control. Things that were in
right.
our control earlier, I think all of that has gone away. We do not have control. All of us have become so hopeless. We do not know what is going to
Exactly.
happen next. Another important thing that has happened in this pandemic is a lot of grief and a lot of loss of our loved ones.
Yeah,
Dealing with this is difficult for any human. But when it comes to
that's
children, it becomes even more difficult because things happen so drastically. It takes the child a lot of efforts to actually absorb, to actually understand and make sense of the
yeah,
world around. So that is also another thing which is affecting them. And I personally, when I interact with my children, we connect on Zoom these days.
yeah,
So they always say, like one day I had gone to the school and I was connecting with them through video call over there. And they were like, ma'am, you are in our class. Can you please show us fourth B? Can you please show us third B? And can you please show us the computer again,
yeah.
the blackboard again, ma'am? We miss coming to school. So there is a lot that they're missing out, and it's definitely not their fault. So yeah, the pandemic has affected a lot of children in a lot of ways.
Definitely. And what changes have you observed in your children that that they have been affected through pandemic? Maybe they might have developed anxiety or fear of something. So what do you observe in them?
I think one of the major changes is the screen time. The screen time is a
Yeah,
big issue these days. I think this is an issue that both parents are, bringing up, and even teachers, for that matter, are, finding it difficult to cope with. So screen time is one issue. There was a world where everybody, all the elders in the family, used to stop the children that do not use this device. And now
yeah,
this is the only device that they're using starting from morning. I think we have our assemblies at around 8:30 a.m. and the classes go on till 1, and after that also they connect for some workshops or they connect for some tuitions. So there is
Yeah.
continuous screen time. So that has increased. Also, there has been a great increase in the routine. So earlier, when we used to talk about the development of a child, a lot of
Yeah.
focus was on sending them outside, sending them for extracurriculars, helping them
Right.
engage with people, make new friends, talk to different people, so that it helps their holistic development. That
Right.
element has started missing up. So, and also there is a break in the learning process now. How they used to interact earlier and how they interact today is a little different, and it's sad to see that, but like everybody else, we are trying to adapt to this new normal and just continue functioning.
Right. So are the children like afraid of coming out, talking on screen? Is it like that?
They're not afraid per se, but a lot of maladaptive behavior has started coming up. So,
Okay.
you know, uh, since they're children, a lot of them do pranks. They switch on the mic, they scream something, they switch off the mic, they switch on the camera. So a lot of that deviant behavior is coming up.
Yeah.
Also, students, like earlier, it was easier to focus attention on the students who were not paying that much attention or who were not
Right.
very interactive in the class. It was easier
Yeah.
for the teacher to interact with them, to, maybe
Exactly.
call them aside, talk to them. Now all of that has become difficult. It has become difficult to communicate openly with a child
Yeah.
because we do not know what is happening behind the scene. Even in our school, we try that, for once we ask them to switch on the cameras and then we make it, open for them. If they wish to switch
Yeah.
on, they can. Because it's again too much screen time. And as a counselor, I do not want, to make them, make this a torturous event for them. Just the
Yeah.
switching off of camera. So what happens behind the screen most of the times we do not know. So in that way, the behavior has changed a lot. And even when it comes to opening up, earlier we had a counselor's room and people used to come and maybe share what they wanted
Yeah.
to. They had an ongoing interaction with different teachers, different staff members. Parents used to meet teachers. So we had our parents teacher meeting some weeks back. It was
Yeah.
only the class teacher who was interacting with the parents, and that too for like a 10-15 minutes Zoom meeting. Because how do you
Yeah.
accommodate so many people online? That was the
Exactly.
best thing to do. So again, that connection has spoiled now. So yes, a lot of changes are taking place, but again, we're just trying to adapt using different means.
Exactly. All of us are just trying to do that. So,
Yeah.
how important it is for adults or like parents to talk about mental health to their children, and how one can do that, because as children they
Yeah.
do not know the difference between mental health or physical health. So how do we
Yeah.
do that?
Actually, I think this is a fault assumption that we hold that they do not know. I think
Okay.
just today I was talking to them about mental health, and they knew what is mind. They knew how mind is different from body. They knew, like, if I go into the technicalities, they knew what is meditation and how it would affect them. They knew that yoga is different from exercise, that
Yeah.
exercise is generally for our body, but yoga will also help us calm our minds. So they
Yeah.
do know distinctions, but definitely, as a parent or as a role model, as a person in their, significant person in their life, it's important that we use terms that they relate to.
Right.
Start talking to them about feelings. Start helping them understand that they are more than their actions. They're more than the things. They're more than the marks that they get. Help them
Yeah.
understand these concepts. We are trying to धीरे धीरे normalize the fact that it's not important for every child to score A plus. Extracurriculars
Exactly.
is also important. Similarly, it's also important to start normalizing that it's important for a boy to cry. If the boy is hurt, it's all right.
Yeah.
Start teaching them social values, start teaching them respecting each other, respecting themselves, being vocal about how they feel, what is going on inside. Also, it's important that, bullying for that matter. It's important that a safe environment is created at home so that the child feels comfortable to share some experiences which are not so favorable, right?
Right.
So definitely, the parents and the elders at home play an important role. Just give me a second.
Sure. Sure.
Hi, so sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. No worries. So yeah, talking about that, what I think is that the art of self-acceptance should also be taught to children, because there happens many a times that parents start comparing their kids to others, and that's when the problem actually starts
Right.
with the
Right.
children. So how can we like sort of ignore that and try to not do that as parents or as elders? because it's a very natural tendency. We don't even think of it, like we don't do it with intention. So how to do that?
Okay, so I think talking about self acceptance, I think acceptance is the next step. First is awareness. So it's
Yeah,
important for the parent and the child to start becoming aware about the environment, start becoming aware about themselves. It's important for the parent to start becoming aware about how their child is unique from somebody else.
yeah,
Accepting another step, first start become aware about it. Start becoming aware about how they are different from somebody else, what makes them unique. And once you start doing that, it's also important that you reinforce using a lot of positive self-talk. So how you talk
right.
to your child, how you talk to yourself, how your child talks to himself or herself is very important. I think
Yeah,
even as adults, it's important that we focus on how we talk to ourselves, because that plays a great role in our self-esteem, in our confidence, in our acceptance. So that is very
right.
important. Also, it's very important for parents to praise their child.
Yeah,
We study this, and
definitely.
some days back I was even talking to one of my family members about the same. That what happened was, one of my cousins was showing the right behavior, and instead of reinforcing him by praising him in front of everybody, my uncle
Yeah,
decided to stay quiet and to silently praise him and stuff. So I was vocal at the moment, and I told that this is where positive reinforcement comes into force. Praise your child openly, do not just criticize them openly. So it's important that parents start praising them more. But again, that shouldn't exceed. There are some parents who are excessively praising, and that also
right,
hampers upbringing of the child. So it's
right.
important that to become more self-accepting of the child, it's important you start focusing on their patterns, on their behavioral patterns. You start praising them more. Yeah, I think this should do, again, it should all start with awareness, and once you are up there, acceptance becomes easy.
Definitely. And it should be a balanced behavior, right? No one
Right,
should
right.
go overboard. All
Definitely.
right. And how do we recognize that that a child or a kid is going through some mental issues? How do we know that?
Okay. So there are a lot of behavioral patterns that you can observe. For example, a child who was earlier very enthusiastic, there could be
Yeah,
a restricted movement, there could be restricted patterns of behavior. The child might show persistent sadness, or on the other side, there could be the other side where the child could show excessive behavior patterns. So
yeah,
earlier, the child was, not to a great extent, the child was being a part of activities, but now the child has started becoming more hyperactive. That could be a sign. So deviant, when you see a lot of deviant and extreme changes in behavior, that is
yeah,
one sign. Also, a decrease in school performance is another criteria that we can, that is why we have school counselors after all. So because it's
yeah,
not just to the marks, it's not like the child has just started getting lower marks. That could be a sign, definitely, but that is not the only sign. How the child engages, is the environment at school safe, what does the friend circle look like, has this child started becoming more quieter, is there something the
yeah,
child is uncomfortable sharing about. So these things need to be kept in charge. And also there could be changes in behavior, like sleep patterns or eating habits. Have they started increasing too much, or have they started decreasing? Is the appetite similar to the one it used to be earlier? How is the child interacting with the friends?
yeah,
Have become restricted, is not going out. So that also plays an important role. And also, is the child showing more aggressive patterns? Has the child become more irritable? So earlier, if the child was like okay with certain things, but now has the
yeah.
child started becoming more irritated, agitated, there is aggression. So all these signs could be, some signs or showing, leading towards a mental illness, or even not an illness, but it could also indicate that there is something that is bothering the
Something
child, and
wrong.
we
Yeah.
need to talk about it. Yeah.
But generally, what we have noticed that what happens that all of these changes that a child shows projects, so parents believe that it is a process of growing up, and they do not like take it very seriously in that terms that okay, my child might be going through some issues like mental health issues or whatever. So this like how can someone differentiate between the normal process and the abnormal process?
Yes, so if there is too much of excesses, if
Okay.
suddenly behavior has started become too deviant or too extreme from what it used to be earlier, I think
Yeah.
that is a sign, whether it's something. as simple as eating behavior, sleeping behavior, performance in school, interaction with friends, or
Yeah.
how the child is participating in the school. All of this plays an important role. How the child is behaving at home.
Right.
Has the child started becoming more afraid of certain family members? Trying to restrict conversations with certain people. All of these are
Yeah.
signs. And yes, parents. Okay, these days awareness has increased, and that is where the role of advocates and people come into play. We have to raise
Right.
more and more awareness about this. In this coming week, I'm holding a workshop for parents where I'm going to
Okay.
psychoeducate them about the same. I am going to be vocal about it. I am going to share with them that it is important to notice such signs. It is
Right.
important to talk to your child. Sometimes a child might not feel comfortable opening up because we have created that environment. Let's change
Exactly.
it a bit. Let's change it. Let's get into a conversation. So, yes.
That's wonderful. And so, how do we treat like children who are going through any mental illness or say mental health issues? What is the right treatment towards them?
Okay, so we don't treat them. Okay, we
Okay.
are only we as in the normal people. We
Yeah.
take them to an expert. We take them to a
Okay.
mental health expert, to a child psychologist, a school counselor who is trained into it. A lot of children
Okay.
might need the help of special educators. They might be showing
Right.
signs of learning disability, signs of childhood disorders like ADHD, autism.
Yeah.
So it's important we take them to the right person, to the right expert who has the right expertise in this particular area. What
Right.
we as individuals do is we try to provide them with resources. We try to uh, destigmatize this thing. We try to make it normal that it is all right if the child is showing a deviant behavior. There is a solution to it if you reach out for
Yeah.
help at the right time. So that is where our role comes into it. Other than that, having regular conversations with the school counselor could be one technique, keeping a check on the mental health of the child.
Yeah.
So since the school counselor is in constant touch with all the children, most of them, why not have a regular conversation with them and see if
Right.
there is something that your child has shared or if there is something that needs to be further taken up. So
Yeah.
that is how you deal with this.
All right. So, as you mentioned, the role of psychologists and counselors. So, what exactly do counselors like? What role do they play in a child's life, or say in a parent's life? What exactly counseling means for kids, or maybe in general?
Okay. So when I talk about therapy or counseling, for adults, a lot of focus is on teaching them skills, talking to them about issues, dealing with
Okay.
childhood trauma, things like that. But with
Yeah.
children, since they aren't that vocal because they're children,
Yeah.
therapists and psychologists, they try to work using art. A lot of art therapy is used. So if I
Okay.
talk what happens inside the sessions, a lot of art therapy techniques are used, such as with clay, with art, craft, with music, using dance, using
Okay.
storytelling. All of these mediums are used so that the child feels comfortable and the child can open up. So since
Okay.
these professionals are experts in this particular area, they
Yeah.
know that what a particular drawing or what a particular expression of the child is trying to convey. So that is how we
Okay.
form rapport with the child. That is how we work through these sessions. With special educators, it's a little different. They are dealing with certain illnesses like learning disabilities or difficulties like that. So how they
Yeah.
function, they try to teach them certain techniques. They try to provide remedial classes. They try to provide support. So that is how it works with different counselors and different special educators.
Okay. And what is the benefit of counseling? Like, if you had to like sum up everything, so what is the benefit of counseling?
There are a lot of benefits of counseling. Number one, before just sharing the pointers, I think we should start understanding that going for counseling is not just when I have a mental health disorder, when I'm diagnosed with one.
Right.
So it's not
Right.
just limited to depression, anxiety, bipolar, schizophrenia. No, no.
Yeah.
Any random individual requires therapy. They need therapy to try to understand themselves. Any person who wants to work on their personal growth should visit a therapist. Going to therapy helps you explore yourself better. It helps
Yeah.
you regulate your emotions better. It helps you understand your thought process better. What are your beliefs? What are your schemas? How are you working on them? It helps you learn new coping skills. It helps you deal with any trauma that you've faced. And it helps you go through a grieving process in a more natural manner, in a more safer space. It helps you in a lot many ways. Yeah, I think therapy is one beautiful technique. It's one beautiful gift that all of us can give each other and also
Right.
ourselves. So do go
Right.
for therapy, do book yourself a session, and do experience it. The kind of space that is created,
Yeah.
you just start feeling more of yourself. You can show your vulnerable side. You can open up. You can try learning new skills. You can start healing more. You can start working on your personal growth more. So definitely, A plus for therapy. It's very
All
important.
right. All right. So the basic misconception that people have in their minds that they need therapy or counseling only when they go through certain issues or certain stages in their life.
Yeah.
Right. But so isn't there like any particular or a perfect time to go to a psychologist or like
You
say
know,
go for a counselor? Yeah.
yes, a lot of people in the US and other places, they have their therapist and they go visit
Yeah.
them once a month, whether life is going normal or not.
Yeah.
So just when going on, we go for body checkups, right? Are you there? Yeah.
Yeah. I
We
think we lost you. Yeah. Yeah. You're back.
Yeah, so I was saying that we go for body checkups, right? We go for health
Right.
checkups.
Yeah.
Whether we have some issue or not, we still go visit the doctor and we still get ourselves checked every 6 months, every year. Why? Why do we do that? Because we want to keep a check on our physical.
Um, I think Kirti is facing some internet issues. I'll add her back again. By the time, guys, if you have any questions or queries, uh, you want to ask Kirti, so just make sure to drop in.
Yeah,
Hi, you're back again.
I lost you. Yeah. So I was
Yeah, no
saying,
worries. Yeah,
like we go for a annual visit to the doctor, to the hospital to get our bodies checked up. Why not visit a therapist for the same?
definitely. Yeah,
There is no one fixed time that you need to go, but definitely if you're facing an issue, if you're facing some difficulty at life, again, not a mental health disorder per se, but any issues, you just want to learn new skills on dealing, you want to learn new problem solving skills, you
yeah,
want to learn more social skills, more decision making skills, visit a therapist, visit a professional. They can guide you better and they will collaboratively work with you. So definitely go visit a therapist. It's important. Even I, as a therapist, I have a
yeah.
therapist of my own, and I do
Wow.
visit them. I do share, my experiences. I do have a cathartic platform where I can, just vent out, having listening to
Yeah,
so many people. I do need a safe place where I can share what I've been through, right? So yeah.
right, right. Definitely, definitely, that's true. So now a very important question that how can one work on their mental health to keep it sound, to keep it good, to just be at peace?
Yes. So it would be different for different people. I would say that mental health involves a very important element of self-love and self-care.
Right.
So how you take care of yourself in terms of mental health is one way of taking care and having a sound mental health. So
Yeah,
for me, some days it's just going for a walk, it's just spending time in nature. Some days it's reading a book, some days it's taking a break from work and just lying down and just relaxing. All of these are small steps that you can take for your mental health. Visiting a
yeah,
therapist, going for a walk, reading something, indulging into hobbies that you enjoy, you know, uh, just doing things, spending time with people who give you positive vibes, the company that you enjoy. getting off social media, taking a social media break, that could be another way. So
Right.
these are all ways that you can take care of your mental health. It's different for different people, and for the same person also, different things can work on different days. So
Right.
try out, do things for yourself, and you'll know what works best for you.
So these are all like small steps that people can take towards
Yeah.
their mental health, right?
Yeah.
So, Kirti, what are some myths around mental health that you might have come across or generally that need to be debunked?
Yes, not many, I think. Number one, like I was saying, mental health is is for mental disorders only, or a person
Yeah,
who has a mental disorder needs to take care of a mental health. So that is a big myth. Like I said, mental health is not something that you need to go and get. It's not
exactly.
lying for somewhere and you need to go purchase it. It's there within us. It's a part of us. It's just that we need to start taking care more of it. And also, a lot of myths are there. People talk about depression, that the way they use depression and the terms depressed. I think that is it's become a slang these days, and that's
Exactly.
terribly wrong, because depression is a clinical disorder and it has a diagnostic criteria. So there are certain checkpoints that needs to be covered to call it depression. So that
Yeah,
is there. Also, a lot of myths are there that talking to a friend is sufficient. I have my best friend. What else do I need in life?
yeah,
But no, why do we get into this profession? There are certain skills that we are trained up with. Your friend will
exactly.
only be there to an extent of, and you never know, the friend could be doing more harm to you than good. Just
Definitely.
saying yes, yes, and affirming to what you are saying, that could actually be wrong for you. There might be times where you might need to hear contradicting statements,
Yeah,
but your friend might not be able to provide that. So having a friend is not sufficient. You need a therapist. And also, a lot of people believe that why invest into mental health, and mental health is costly, it's luxurious.
yeah,
No, it's not like that. Going for a walk is nothing luxurious. We can take our time. It requires time, it requires efforts, because we have been brought up in such a way that we have become this robotic, we have become this mechanical, that there's a pattern of life that we're following. How many of
exactly.
us are actually taking breaks during the day? We have back to back work, but how many of us are actually taking breaks to relax ourselves, to recharge
Right,
ourselves? Even our devices, yeah, even my phone, my laptop, even these devices need a battery recharge. Then why not
right.
ourselves? Why not our mental health? So yeah, these are some myths, and it's high time we start debunking them, we start talking about them.
Wonderful, wonderful. And so, coming to the end of the session, what is that one piece of advice that you would like to give to anyone battling mental health issues?
Anyone battling mental health issue,
Yeah,
I think I would say that you are a very strong and courageous person, because it's not easy to live with a mental illness. And the fact that you're battling it's beautiful. And I am so proud of you if you've reached out for help, if you're taking treatment for it. And, irrespective of what the society says, you've started prioritizing yourself. I think that is something very beautiful. And I would also encourage people to start sharing their experiences. Start talking about your experience of visiting a therapist, of recovering from a mental illness. Because the more we open conversations, the more likely it is that people will start accepting it, will start, calling it normal. So,
exactly.
yeah, would be my last advice. And again, do not wait to get diagnosed with a disorder. Do not wait to get a issue in your life to visit a therapist. No matter what you are doing, no matter who you are, irrespective of your demographics, go visit a therapist and experience that safe space. Even at the Psych Life here, I provide very affordable therapy, and I also provide a sliding scale for people who cannot afford therapy.
Yeah.
So you reach out to me as and when the slots get freer, we can always connect, and we can always, experience this beautiful experience of therapy.
Definitely. It was a great message. So, anyone, if you have any questions from Kirti, please make sure to drop in.
Yes.
I think we pretty much covered like everything regarding mental health. And if
Yes,
there's
yes.
anything left, so make sure to reach out to her. She's a wonderful person, wonderful therapist, I believe. So, yeah,
Thank you. It was lovely connecting with you, and just joining
same
in and
here.
sharing experiences with you. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you so much for coming, for taking out time for us. It was lovely connecting with you. And it was
Thank you.
actually a wonderful experience talking about mental health in such an extensive manner. All right. So I think, yeah, we don't have any questions. We have pretty much covered everything.
Yes.
So thank you so much for your time.
Yes,
Thank you so much for
yeah.
connecting.
Thank you. Thanks to Girl Bus India and thanks to you for hosting this. It was lovely.
Thank you
Thank you
so
so
much.
much.
It was lovely.
Bye
Thank
bye.
you. Bye
Take care.
bye.